Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. A review of John Rustad's leadership of the BC Conservatives has led to allegations of fake membership sign-ups and ballot stuffing. Plus,
the situation was very preventable, and now I don't know when or how I'm going to heal from this.
A BC First Nations family is suing after a father's remains were, quote, misplaced.
I don't understand how it could have been missed after all that time.
And
this one is truly special.
It's out there. Throwing for more gold. A BC athlete grabs another record-breaking title.
84.70 meters.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. A review of John Rustad's leadership of the BC Conservative Party has now led to allegations of fake membership sign-ups and ballot stuffing. As Katie DeRosa reports, it's caused more infighting for the official opposition.
BC Conservative members have been voting yay or nay on John Rustad's leadership since June. The review is mandated under the party's constitution and happens anytime it loses an election. The party decided to hold the vote riding by riding over several months. But allegations of voter fraud have now surfaced around new members in Kelowna. At issue is more than 2,000 new BC Conservative members who signed up to vote in the leadership review on August 29th. That was the deadline to join the party and have a say on Rustad's leadership. Those new members raised alarm bells because they all had the same email domain, fake phone numbers, and all purchased using 3 credit cards. Neither Rustad nor anyone from the BC Conservative Party would agree to an interview. In a statement, the party says all memberships were cancelled at a September 10th meeting of the Management Committee. We are confident every vote in Kelowna will be cast by members in good standing. The controversy has caused further divisions within the already fractured Conservative caucus. Peter Millibar, the party's finance critic, was asked repeatedly on Monday if he has confidence in John Rustad's leadership.
Do you have confidence in him?
Well, again, we're working through things as a caucus.
Millibar does have concerns about the leadership vote process.
Is there some troubling reports starting to emerge? Yes, there are. Is a 4.5-month riding by riding, moving around the province process clunky? Absolutely.
Premier David Eby was quick to pin the party's woes on Rustad.
What we are seeing from the Conservatives is the leader of that party alleged to be involved in a large-scale fraud. They are not fit to govern.
CBC News has learned a BC Conservative caucus meeting scheduled for Thursday has now been postponed. Thursday is also when party members in the 4 Kelowna ridings are set to cast their ballots. All voting is expected to be complete by Saturday, but the party has not yet announced when the public will find out if Rustad has the confidence of BC Conservative members. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
Meanwhile, provincial spending is under the microscope amid BC's multi-billion-dollar and climbing deficit. Some economists say it could be time to reassess our public sector. As John Hernandez reports, the Premier has pledged cuts to what he calls administrative waste.
On the heels of an announced deficit, no government expense is free of scrutiny.
The Premier has signed off on a contract for $600,000, and believe me, I wish this was an actual joke, to hire a speechwriter to inject humor into his speeches.
A bill the Premier says is greatly exaggerated.
Writers are a necessary part of the job. Mr. Demers, to date, his entire contract has been worth $14,000.
Either way, the province is $11.6 billion in the hole. The deficit driven in part by sinking commodity prices, a cooling housing market, and the loss of the carbon tax. And it's expected to get worse.
There's room to have, a few bad years before we, hit disaster. But we should certainly be concerned, and the government certainly needs to work hard to try to get its financial house in order.
Brander says average consumers won't notice the effects of a deficit immediately, but a dwindling debt rating could eventually take a toll on BC's ability to provide critical services like education or health care. That's why some experts say it's time to take a hard look at the public sector.
The public sector has grown by about 55% since the NDP took office.
there are questions that we do need to ask about whether we really do need to have all of those people working in the public sector.
An evaluation that the Premier says is already underway.
I want to make it clear for British Columbians. We're going to protect those frontline services that they depend on, that their families depend on. We're going to cut the waste out of the health authorities. We're already doing it. Reducing the size of the public service, addressing administrative waste.
In the meantime, the Premier says he expects billions of dollars worth of private sector investments in projects like LNG will help BC turn the tide over the next year. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
BC's striking public service employees are now escalating job action in Victoria, demanding higher wages for mining sector professionals who oversee permitting and compliance.
Workers that work in the Mineral Title Development Office, the Mineral Development Office, and the Southwest Mines Office will be joining their colleagues on the picket lines.
This escalation comes as the federal and provincial governments try to fast-track several big projects. As of now, workers at 3 government mining sector buildings in Vancouver and Cranbrook will be off the job. Around 6,000 members of the BC General Employees Union are involved in job action. Talks between the BC GEU and the province broke down earlier this summer. After more than 2 decades at the helm of the city, Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brodie has announced he will not seek re-election next year.
I'm looking forward to some of the issues that are involved in the city, and I can see that there are many that really require diligence and oversight and leadership far more than for just the next few years.
Brodie won the mayorship in 2001. He has been criticized for how much money he earns as one of the highest paid politicians in Metro Vancouver through his work with various boards and committees. His current term concludes next November. A $10 billion LNG project in Northwest BC has now passed a critical hurdle for approval. The province has now given it an environmental assessment certificate. But as Michelle Gassoub explains, that comes despite intense pushback from environmentalists and some First Nations and mounting concerns about one of its major backers.
$17 billion in contribution to the Canadian economy over the lifetime of the project.
Premier David Eby touting the benefits of the Tsilisms LNG terminal project after it received an environmental assessment certificate from the province.
A new generation of LNG production is on the horizon.
When completed, the floating production facility north of Prince Rupert will be capable of producing 12 million tons of liquefied natural gas per year.
We can honor our traditional lands by building a future for our children on our lands.
A collaboration between the Nisga'a Nation and Western LNG, the mega project is promising hundreds of new jobs, but faces stiff opposition from Gittineau hereditary chiefs because of the risk it could pose to critical salmon habitats.
It's right at the mouth of the Nass River. So the Nass River is the 3rd largest producer of salmon, wild salmon, in BC. And it feeds not only Gittineau, but Gitxsan, Nisga'a, Tsimshian.
The province says there will be a plan to mitigate impacts to wildlife habitat and a reporting mechanism for First Nations and mariners to report any concerns. Still, the project faces more scrutiny because Western LNG is backed by Blackstone Inc., whose CEO publicly endorsed U.S. President Donald Trump.
The argument that you're making is to get out from under American control and the powers of the American companies, and we're just giving it in a much more direct way.
But Eby said the province doesn't turn down investment based on politics.
Those investors, regardless of their political affiliation, could invest anywhere. They've decided to bring it here to British Columbia to create jobs.
Still, others question whether Canadian LNG can be competitive on a global scale as more countries shift towards clean energy.
It's going to come onto the market when the world is in a glut of LNG. This is building a horse and buggy factory in the digital era.
Federal ministers have greenlit the project. It could come online by 2028 at a cost of $10 billion. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
We have an update on a triple stabbing in East Vancouver that has now killed 3 women. Vancouver police say a 3rd victim died in hospital, and they confirm that victim, Jin Fung Guan, and the accused, Viet Qui John Lee, had been married.
Our investigation is continuing, and part of that investigation will determine the extent of the relationship that the suspect had with the other 2 homicide victims. We're learning more information every day, but that's not information that we're prepared to disclose at this point in the investigation.
Addison says the suspect remains in jail. A First Nations family is seeking justice after a man's remains were, quote, misplaced by Island Health and the BC Coroner's Office. As Emily Fagan reports, they're not the only Island First Nation to experience this, but they do want to make sure they're the last.
This is Philip Peter Billy. He was a father of 4 from the Ihadasat First Nation. He was 55 when he died in 2022. 2 years after his death, his daughter Amanda received devastating news that added to her grief. Her father's brain, which had been removed during an autopsy, was never returned to his body and was not cremated with the rest of his remains. Instead, it sat in the back of a refrigerator here, at Victoria's Royal Jubilee Hospital, for more than 2 years.
Well, there's a lot that goes on when someone passes away, and having to relive all of that, but having it much more traumatic was really hard.
In the Ihadasat culture, it's important to bury people quickly, ideally within 4 days, and with their body fully intact. That's according to Nuu-Chah-Nulth Tribal Council President Judith Sayers.
It's just devastating news. That's such a careless mistake, or was it a mistake? Something dealing with human remains could be so sloppily done. For this to have been in the fridge for 2 years, I don't understand how it could have been missed after all that time.
His brain was returned, cremated, to Billy's family. Large and her family are suing Island Health and the BC Coroner's Service, which declined to comment due to ongoing litigation. She says without any accountability or assurance of changes being made, she's worried this could happen again to another First Nations family, in part because it already has.
The situation was very preventable, and now I don't know when or how I'm going to heal from this.
In 1997, a 3-year-old girl named Margaret Thomas from the Chilokweat First Nation drowned. Her eyes were removed during an autopsy, but they weren't returned to her family with the rest of her body. It took 3 months to get them back, too late to bury her with them. The chief coroner apologized to the family and promised there would be changes, according to media reports at the time. Large says, for her, an apology won't be enough. Her father's ashes were reunited in a ceremony last year. She has some in a necklace she can keep close to her. She wants Island Health and the Coroner's Service to fix how they handle remains, so what happened to her father doesn't happen to anyone else. Emily Fagan, CBC News, Victoria.
BC hammer thrower and Olympic champion Ethan Katzberg has won another gold medal, this time at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. The 23-year-old from Nanaimo broke both the championship record and his own Canadian record.
With 84 metres and 70. This is round 6, the throw of honour. He's really caught this one as well.
84.7 meters, 10 times the length of a London double-decker bus. Katzberg says the win comes after a tough season.
I knew I needed more than I had for the rest of the season. So that, I mean, to do it on the day, to have a personal best, to have a season's best, to have all those things come together, this one is truly special.
Katzberg win comes after Richmond's Cameron Rogers came out on top in the women's hammer throw. Darius is here with a first look at the weather.
That's right.
Still summer, right?
I would say so. We've had summery conditions across the south coast, across southwest BC. I will note that this map shows the forecasted highs that we had for today, not the observed highs. And so places like Tofino maybe didn't hit those temperatures that were expected. Tofino got up to about 21 today. We didn't hit that 26 that was forecasted. So that's just something to be aware of. Temperatures come back down tomorrow and don't change too much right into the weekend. Showers are expected in the weekend, so temperatures will be a little bit suppressed then. But for now, just really the North Island and parts of the west coast of the island, maybe up around Campbell River, getting some of those showers tonight into tomorrow morning. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Doris.
Thank you.
A woman who survived a deadly attack in Kelowna this summer is urging governments to do more to protect victims of domestic violence. Her story's next. A new university campus named after late Premier John Horgan has now opened in his hometown of Langford.
A quote of his was that education gives you the ability to make the choice about how you're going to live your life. And I can't think of a person that was a better example of what John was talking about than John Horgan himself.
Royal Roads University's campus aims to support Langford's growing number of students and operates through a unique partnership between Royal Roads, UVic, Camosun College, the Justice Institute of BC, and the Souk School District. John Horgan died last November after living with cancer. He was 65. A Kelowna woman seriously injured in a deadly attack against her friend is calling on the provincial government to offer more protection to victims of domestic violence. In July, James Plover was convicted of choking and uttering threats. Now he's accused of killing his ex-partner, Bailey McCourt, later that same day while out on bail ahead of sentencing. Carrie Wiebe was with McCourt when she was attacked. The CBC's Sarah Penton spoke with her in our Kelowna bureau.
Why do you think this is speaking to so many people?
I think it happens more than people think. Like, everybody's kind of experienced it in one way or another.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's more than just domestic, like physical. There's mental and emotional and verbal and all sorts of stuff that kind of go with it. So
What do you think Bailey would think of the work that you're doing? And
Man, I have almost given up a couple times. I feel like she's just cheering me on back there. Let's keep going, keep going. Yeah.
What was she like as a mom?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Super. Everything revolved around the kids.
Yeah.
All the time. Baseball, sports, whatever. She was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the last couple months have been like for you?
Up and down, I think. When I got out of the hospital, it was really, really like fired up. I felt like I was in pain, a lot of pain, but I had a lot of adrenaline, I guess. I don't know. Like, I felt okay. Like, that's how I pushed through the petition, just because I just was like, I was ramped up. I was mad.
Can you tell me a little bit more specifically about what changes you want to see? What's in your petition?
Well, the bail it needs to be reviewed case by case. So if a situation like choking happens, it's like 750% increased chance of them actually killing their partner. So I feel like there shouldn't be bail for any choking type convictions. And also reoffenders should not have the opportunity to have bail. And it's kind of like that now, where they have to prove that they're not a menace to society, basically. But it needs to be more strict. It definitely needs some changes there, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think GPS tracking is a big thing too. It's cheap, and you just put a ankle monitor on them, and then the victim has an app where they can track, so that they can at least see if they're in the radius.
To your knowledge, Bailey didn't know.
She didn't.
Where he was?
Nope.
Didn't know he was coming?
No.
What else are you calling for in your petition?
Just doing a criminal record check so that partners are aware if there is any IPV charges. And then
IPV stands
for intimate partner violence. Thank you. Yeah. So it's basically they would have to they would be able to get a marriage license until they had a meeting, and therefore sign something to saying that they're aware of the charges. And
what's next?
I don't really know. It goes to the House of Commons, and then they review it to the Speaker. I'm just learning all that stuff now, and it took me 5 tries to get this petition going.
Really?
I had 4 other ones rejected.
How optimistic are you that? I mean, these conversations have been happening for a long time.
I know. I think what happened is made everyone aware of how bad it is. Like, everybody is starting to get really angry about it.
So people want to have a look at the petition. What should they do?
You can go to the petition website, and it's E-6770 is the petition number. I memorized that. I think that it's going to go well.
Yeah?
I do. I have to. It has to. Yeah. I'm going to be really sad if it doesn't.
The morning sunrise from the top of Mount Seymour. Darius has your BC wide weather forecast coming up next. A longtime federal Liberal minister has now resigned from cabinet and announced she plans on ending her career in politics. But as Ashley Burke explains, the Prime Minister has given Chrystia Freeland a new role.
Chrystia Freeland arriving to cabinet for what would be the last time.
Are you ready for
Hours later, the Prime Minister walking her out of the meeting past the cameras with no comment, after it turns out Freeland resigned as Transport and Internal Trade Minister. Freeland later announcing online, "I have decided to step down from cabinet today and turn the page on this chapter of my life. I do not intend to run in the next federal election." She wrote that after a 12-year political career, it's the right time to make way for others and seek new challenges.
It's a great day. Thank you.
The Prime Minister then posting he's tapping her for a role as Canada's new special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine.
She knows the country, she has respect of the Ukrainian people, so I can't think of anything better than for her to be doing that.
Freeland, a former journalist of Ukrainian descent, was front and center with the former Prime Minister visiting Ukraine, helping lead Canada's efforts to support it and fight Russian aggression. She speaks the language fluently, and a source says she'll be working with Ukrainian leaders to help rebuild its economy.
The work that Chrystia will lead on Ukraine will be deeply impactful, not just for the war, but for Canada's national security.
Sunny ways, guys, sunny ways.
Freeland's been a fixture on the Liberals' front line since the beginning of Justin Trudeau's government.
I think that Chrystia is a great Canadian who broke a lot of barriers. She was our first female finance minister.
She's also served as a foreign affairs minister, deputy prime minister, and landed a renegotiated NAFTA deal with Donald Trump, who's repeatedly said he doesn't like her.
She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person.
This is Freeland's second high-profile resignation. She left Trudeau's cabinet in December and then ran to replace him.
Part of her legacy will be bringing down Justin Trudeau. I think Canadians will remember that. I think Liberals will remember that.
She's a giant in Canadian politics, so I wish her the very best, and I thank her for all her years of service.
Sources say Freeland will resign soon as an MP, but a date hasn't been set yet, and that this new role helping Ukraine is just one of the tasks she plans to take on. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Greater Vancouver Food Bank now has a new permanent home. It has bought the facility on Low Heat Highway that it's been working out of for several years.
Public are unbelievable. We have huge supporters, and we're just thrilled that we've been able to achieve this milestone.
The food bank held a ribbon-cutting ceremony to mark the occasion. It is the first time it has owned such a facility. Funds came from the public as well as corporate groups. Staff say the site's location allows them to easily give out food. Well, a new report by Food Banks Canada says 1 in 4 Canadians is struggling to put food on tables. It also says too many people in this country are spending almost all their income on essentials like groceries, housing, as well as transportation. More now from the CBC's Nicole Williams.
This food bank in Orillia, Ontario is busier than ever.
Tell me what we're looking at here. What is this?
So we're expanding our fridge and freezers.
Bigger fridges, a bigger kitchen. But bigger isn't better.
So we're supporting around 1,700 individuals per month about 2 years ago. We're now supporting about 2,500 individuals per month. So it's definitely going up. We don't want to grow.
Food banks are great, but they're not, because they are an indication of something that is fundamentally wrong in our society.
The city is one of the latest in Ontario, being pushed to the brink by declaring a food insecurity emergency, stating nearly a third of households in the region are struggling to afford groceries.
So we're seeing this affect every community from coast to coast to coast.
In its annual poverty report card, Food Banks Canada has given this country a D. It highlights recent data from Statistics Canada that shows a 40% increase in poverty and food insecurity in the last 2 years, with a quarter of all households in Canada struggling to afford food.
A lot of people with jobs are now having to stop at the food bank on the way home from work instead of the grocery store because that's just out of reach.
It points to rising youth unemployment and a lack of affordable housing as some of the factors.
Personally, I can see nothing on the horizon that suggests that it's going to get better.
The Liberal government defending the work it's done to make life more affordable.
And the first measure that we implemented was to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians, exactly to help families across our country. And we can be proud of this.
But Food Banks Canada says more needs to be done to combat food insecurity, including more funding for social supports and updating benefit programs for low-income Canadians. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Orillia, Ontario.
If you've been on social media lately, you've probably seen them. Fake advertisements that mimic prominent international figures and Canadians to try to separate you from your money. Some of these ads used to be pretty laughable, but over time they've become more and more sophisticated and harder to stop. Emmett Robbins is a PhD student at SFU's School of Criminology and has been studying the rise of scam ads. He's brought us 3 examples that we're going to watch together. Emmett, thanks for coming in. Why don't we start with this one from whom I believe used to be the world's richest person. Let's have a look.
Hello, I'm Elon Musk. Together with advanced programmers from Apple, Facebook, and Google, I'm ready to introduce you to quantum AI software. With this innovative solution, you will be able to trade stocks safely and earn high profits. Quantum AI using machine learning achieves a high success rate of 91% of successful trades. Thanks to this, you can earn a stable income on a regular basis.
Emmett, let's talk about what works in this video and what doesn't. What draws people in, at least on this one, do you think?
A lot of buzzwords, the presence of an authority figure, somebody who's known for being wealthy. And what makes it unrealistic, of course, is that the voice isn't perfectly synced with how his lips are moving.
And it doesn't really sound like him. We know he has an accent, but that's not what his voice normally sounds like, is it?
It's not a perfect accent. I downloaded this video in 2023, which at the time it seemed very realistic, but now it seems outdated.
How challenging is it for AI to get this right when it comes to voice and syncing it up?
It's still difficult, but like I said, over the past few years, there's been quite a jump in quality, but if you look closely at the lips while listening, you can still tell that it's not real.
Something's off. Okay. Let's move on to another example, and this one features a well-known and now late Canadian movie star. Let's have a look.
If you're watching this video, then I am already dead. I will give you $100,000 if you cannot win in my online casino. I've decided to give away part of my money to all Canadians, and I believe it's the right thing to do. Everyone will be able to win $4,000 on the first day.
Okay. Jarring enough in that Donald Sutherland died last year, but it's a jarring start. I'm dead, but you can earn some money. Why do you think they began with that?
Well, I mean, it's a particularly disturbing scam. Not only are they stealing his likeness, but they're capitalizing on his death. I think that they're starting like that. It's a bit of a movie cliche. If you're watching this, I'm already dead. Plays into some other movie cliches, like people love the idea of earning money from games, and Sutherland himself was starting a movie where that was the central topic in Hunger Games.
Now, a lot of people may think this is clearly ridiculous, but who is this aimed at, do you think? Is it the skeptical, or is this for the more, if we can call them, naive?
I think this is for the younger generation, really. The format there where it's split screen showing kind of colorful games, that really draws the eyes away from Sutherland himself. And when you're looking at these mobile games on the right, you're not looking and noticing issues with his lips.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's go to our last one. And this is one our producer found just today. He was watching a YouTube video and it popped up as a pre-roll advertisement.
We'll get to those new programs and billions in funding in just a moment, but we begin with the latest employment numbers. Statistics Canada reports 66,000 jobs were lost just last month. The unemployment rate in Canada now at its highest level in nearly a decade, excluding the pandemic.
The unemployment rate rose to 7.1% in August.
This is what Prime Minister Carney had to say about the unemployment rates.
The rise in unemployment rates is concerning, and this is why the federal government has no choice but to create an income program for all Canadians before the entire economy collapses.
Okay, so we have off-sync lips from the Prime Minister, what sounds to be a lisp, but it seems to be that this ad is getting better, at least. What do you make of this one?
Absolutely. Well, from 2023, the Elon Musk video, to now, they've improved a lot. That was a pretty realistic video. The issues with it were quite subtle. And that one really has all the trappings of a good financial scam. There's plenty of research showing that scams that use authority, where the scammers pose as an authority figure, are very successful. And I mean, this is the peak of authority, being the Prime Minister of Canada, making it seem like it's from a legitimate news site rather than a targeted ad also adds to that legitimacy.
We've heard anywhere between $300 million to $600 million that Canadians are losing to these ads. In some cases, we think that's vastly underreported. How do you think we can stop this?
Well, sadly, tech companies can't keep these scams off their platforms. If they could, they would have already.
Why is that, if I can ask?
I think it just has to do with the volume. If a scammer posts half a dozen ads, maybe the platform will take it down within a day or two, but it could have already claimed some victims. They start a new account, they post more videos.
So are there ideas, ways, other ways beyond what we're trying to try and stop these scams in the first place, or at least educate people about not getting caught?
I mean, education is the key word here. Scams are unique from other types of crimes where somebody can avoid falling victim just by being aware, and that doesn't work for in-person crimes. So I think widespread education and awareness is really what it comes down to keep people from losing money.
All right. Emmett Robbins, we appreciate your time and your expertise. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks.
It could be a cool few months for the Pacific Ocean. Scientists say they're watching for a La Niña, what that might mean for BC's weather. Next.
So I know when I really like a song, if within the first 3 seconds, I'm already vibing to it.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond.
It's not one person dictating what good music is. It's the community sharing what good music is.
Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
Scientists are keeping a close watch on the Pacific Ocean, where conditions are pointing toward a La Niña this fall. That shift could have big impacts on BC's weather. Meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff explains.
This just in, a La Niña watch issued for the Pacific Ocean. This is one of our best clues about what kind of fall and winter we might see in Canada, especially Western Canada. So in a typical La Niña, BC tends to get cooler than usual with more snow in the mountains. Meanwhile, the prairies might see wetter conditions, and the Great Lakes and Eastern Canada can get stormier. Curious about how it works? It's all about the Pacific Ocean temperatures, specifically the equatorial Pacific. Both El Niño, you know, her popular sibling, and La Niña are climate patterns. Meteorologists are always keeping an eye on this. El Niño is the warm phase with above average sea surface temperatures and weakened trade winds. Those are those steady east to west winds near the equator, driven partly by the Earth's rotation. And yes, sailors used to use them to hightail it to the Americas back in the day. La Niña is the cold phase with below average sea surface temperatures due to stronger trade winds. Basically, the stronger the winds, the more shoving of that warm surface water out of the way happens, and the upwelling of colder water to the surface can happen. So NOAA monitors these temperatures because they can have ripple effects all over the world and can tip the odds for droughts, storms, or heat waves. Not a guarantee, but a good clue. And these swings, by the way, happen on top of climate change. So La Niña doesn't cancel out global warming. It just means our whole baseline is shifting warmer. So right now, NOAA says we are likely to move from neutral conditions, that's where we're at right now, to La Niña in the next couple of months. They're forecasting a 71% chance of a La Niña October through December 2025. The heads up is for ski resorts, farmers, energy planners, and public health agencies. La Niña is not just an ocean thing, it's a sneak peek into the season ahead. And now you've got your heads up.
Our science and climate specialist, Doris Madavi, here with the BC Wide Weather Forecast. We go from Joe to you, good sir, and more on La Niña, first of all.
Yes, I don't really have much to add to what Joe said. I just wanted to show those sea surface temperatures that she was talking about. This region in the equatorial Pacific is called the Niño 3.4 region, and it's really what dictates whether we're heading, or whether we're in an El Niño or a La Niña, or which direction we're heading. And as you can see, there's a fair amount of blue in here, which is why we're under a watch. We're just heading in that direction. That's really all I have to say about that. Joe covered everything else. Here is the precipitation map that we're looking at over the next few days. We've seen those that rain that is coming down the island. We're going to see it reach the North Island, west coast of the island, probably overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. We'll see a few light showers popping up, but very intermittent. Don't expect high totals in terms of that precipitation. Some areas, like parts of the Central Coast, might see some more consistent precipitation, but for just really chunks of a few hours at a time. Other than that, not really much to speak of for southern BC, although the Northwest will continue to get some precipitation. Here is our wind map, and you can see Haida continues to get some strong winds, but it doesn't really reach the island, so not too much to talk about there. Some parts of the Northeast may also see some strong winds, but because temperatures have come down, not really too worried on the fire front at this point. Here are our temperatures. Again, we're hitting 30 back again in the southern interior. Those temperatures will remain high into tomorrow, whereas they do come down here on the coast. And then Thursday, the southern interior joins us in terms of those temperatures coming down. Meanwhile, the southeast stays elevated on Thursday, but then they start to nudge down a little bit on Friday. In terms of our fire danger, we remain high across much of the southern interior into the central interior and really just all along the BC-Alberta border. But we've lowered in the southeast in particular, where we've seen a little bit of rain, and here on the coast, although it is starting to climb again here. We were in low, now we're starting to climb. And here is our smoke map. And you'll notice very little, not much smoke or haze coming off most of these fires. But if we do look at the air quality for tomorrow, in some areas, it's still not looking great. This is the maximum forecast. This would be pretty brief if we were going to see it, but air quality has been pretty good lately. And this is, again, just if you have, half an hour of some bad air quality, that's what this map captures. So that's something to note. But again, just a little bit of rain on the coast and a few showers maybe breaking into parts of the central interior and the Peace region. Tomorrow, temperatures come down again, but the humidex is still decent. Inland, feeling like about 28 degrees. And then Thursday, we get more gusty conditions, or breezy conditions, calming down after tomorrow.
Okay, Darius, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Prosecutors in Utah are seeking the death penalty for the 22-year-old accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Katie Simpson now with the new charges he faces and the new evidence from prosecutors, including text messages and a hidden note.
Good afternoon.
Beamed in from a county jail, wearing a self-harm prevention smock, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk is formally charged.
Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
7 counts in total, including aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering.
Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty.
Authorities say Kirk was targeted because of his politics. Citing texts Tyler Robinson allegedly sent after the shooting, including a message to his roommate to look for a note he hid by a computer.
The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it."
Court documents allege the roommate texted back, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" "I am. I'm sorry," Robinson replied. "Why?" asks the roommate. "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." Kirk was a leader in the MAGA movement and staunchly opposed to transgender rights. Robinson was dating his roommate, who is undergoing a gender transition.
Most of the violence is on the left.
Donald Trump is citing Kirk's murder as reason to investigate left-wing groups he says are funding political violence, though nothing yet suggests there's organizational involvement in this case. Social media posts celebrating Kirk's death also under examination by the Trump administration. The president supporting a crackdown on what he sees as hate speech, lashing out when asked about it.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart.
Authorities allege Robinson had been planning the shooting for a little over a week and have additional DNA evidence found on the trigger of the rifle they believe is the murder weapon. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
A United Nations report has concluded that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. It cites examples of the scale of killings, aid blockages, and forced displacement. CBC's Chris Brown explains Israeli officials are condemning those findings.
On the same day, an Israeli cabinet minister proclaimed Gaza is burning. A UN-commissioned inquiry said Israel is committing genocide.
The ongoing genocide in Gaza is a moral outrage and a legal emergency.
The panel of experts say the scale of civilian deaths, including more than 18,000 children, the deliberate blocking of aid, repeated forced displacements, and the destruction of a fertility clinic for Palestinians all adds up to genocide. The panel says Israel's most senior leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, are directly responsible.
These deaths are not accidents. They are not collateral damage. They are the direct consequence of a military strategy of saturation bombing and scorched earth.
Israeli officials dispute Gaza's death toll and the figures from the Hamas-run health ministry. They also did not participate in the inquiry and condemn the findings.
The report relies entirely on Hamas falsehoods, laundered and repeated by others.
In Tel Aviv, other Israelis also rejected the conclusions.
Nobody's trying to get rid of the Palestinians. We're actively trying to get rid of Hamas, which are only doing worse to the Palestinians.
As they watched a long procession of displaced families stream out of Gaza City, many Palestinians say the UN report is coming too late to change anything for them. Where is the decision to arrest Netanyahu, says Muhammad Ali. Why haven't they arrested him yet? What are they waiting for? The report comes as Israel's army launched its ground assault on Gaza City, much of which was already in ruins. The IDF says their goal is to kill Hamas's remaining fighters and to free Israeli hostages, although within the IDF there are reportedly grave doubts about the operation.
The panel does not officially speak for the United Nations, which has not used the term genocide, although it is now facing pressure to do so. Widespread horror at Israel's conduct in Gaza has prompted some European nations to impose arms embargoes or threaten cultural boycotts. Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israelis need to prepare for more isolation as he's not changing course. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
A Hollywood icon and influential cultural figure has died. The life and legacy of Robert Redford, coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
CBC returns as the exclusive media partner of Splash, Arts Umbrella's annual gala and art auction on October 4th. The event supports children and youth programming through arts education. For tickets and information, visit artsumbrella.com. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter today.
Legendary American actor and director Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. His publicist confirms he died at his home in Utah.
The CBC's Ali Chiasson looks at Redford's long life and legacy.
Mr. and Mrs. Bratter.
How long will you be staying with us, Mr. Bratter?
6 days.
And nights?
Robert Redford would probably cringe at the idea of being called a, quote, Hollywood legend, because those who knew him say he was in the movie business for art's sake. You know, he started as a painter.
He came to France and Italy and, literally sat in the streets trying to sell paintings. And when he went back to America in 1957, his stepmother was the one who kind of pushed him towards the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. The idea of being an actor had never been in his game plan. So he kind of applied the instincts of, as he said, his visual art to trying to create some kind of abstraction from acting and put that on the screen. And as he would say, by osmosis, celebrity happened to him.
Over a 6-decade-long career, he starred in classics like The Sting, The Way We Were, All the President's Men, The Candidate, Butch Cassidy, and The Sundance Kid. And speaking of Sundance, the film festival he founded in 1978 is still going strong. A statement from the Sundance Institute reads, Bob's vision of a space and a platform for independent voices launched a movement that over 4 decades later has inspired generations of artists and redefined cinema in the U.S. and around the world.
His Sundance Film Festival became the gold standard for what film festivals are to be. He was emulated, he was admired, and his activism, he wasn't just a star who enjoyed, the glitz and the glamour. He gave back. And that's the true iconic stature and nature of who he was.
Because of who he has starred alongside over the years, tributes are pouring in from other Hollywood legends. Meryl Streep says, one of the lions has passed. Rest in peace, my lovely friend. And Jane Fonda says, he meant a lot to me and he was a beautiful person. He stood for an America we have to keep fighting for. Robert Redford was 89 years old. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
All the President's Men, one of my favorite films, and actually depicts working in journalism relatively true to form. It's a lot of phone calls and waiting. There you are.
Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6.
And we'll have your next local news at 11 o'clock, right after the National. Good night.